Okay, so I want to talk about ETP. ETP, European Training Program. They're one of the people who provide training for new members of Wycliffe and even other missions that are wanting to serve God, particularly in language communities across the world, minority language communities. Okay, so they're serving the entities that are out there, like Senegal, Guinea Bissau branch, or whatever. They're serving really the language communities. So, yeah, and that's what they want to do by providing training, um, by bringing people together. Fine, okay, that makes perfect sense. But let's take a look at how they do that. Not in great detail, but at a sort of macro big level. So what do they do? Well, they have a couple of buildings that they use. One of them's an admin building. This is not the scale, and one of them's a learning building. And the learning building has a lecture theatre and a library. There's a library, lib, and there's the lecture theatre there, and there's lots of classrooms off the corridor that connects them. Fine. And the admin building, well, if a student wants to come, they have to go through them to get to that space and they have to obviously travel there and so on. And they reach out and connect with teachers, and they even see if any the students might teach in future. Okay, so it's what they do is that they're a sort of gateway to a learning space, and in that space there's hard resources like the like relevant books, journals, tools like computers and recording equipment, and experts both in-house. They have folks that are there permanently, more or less, but they also bring in teachers from different countries, Americans and so on, and the other people that are needed to provide that learning. Fine. So that's a sort of big idea of what they do, but that's not all they do. Of course, they currently implement technology to help, yeah, implement technology. Let me see. So in their admin building, this is all fairly basic level stuff, of course, and not very exciting, but to communicate to the prospective students and the teachers and all the language helpers and so on. There's coordination via the internet, through email. They have the website up there, advertising their courses, and there's a to and fro there through the medium of technology. That's for communication and coordination between the course participants, and that's not all. They also produce, for the last 8 years, they've produced CDs. So there's a CD, a DVD, and it's got maybe Word documents and PDFs, and maybe even audio stuff, plus the social stuff like pictures and so on of people from the course. And that was a breakthrough at the time, that they moved from a situation of just having floppies and individual hard disks to having this thing called a CD and later a DVD, in which they could put a large amount of stuff. And each student and each teacher and those interested parties, not necessarily directly connected with the course or on the course, teaching on the course, would receive one of those. Okay, that's fine. Each one got their personal CD. Fine. So already there's a use of the internet, a use of email, a use of digital technology to coordinate teachers and students, and also to provide learning materials. And in the library, I'm not sure of this, there may be a subscription to journals, which can be accessed through the library. Okay, so here am I. So this is me here. with the glasses and the eyebrow and the beard sometimes. Okay, this is me. Not too happy. This is me. What do I want to do? Well, I want to do exactly the same thing as was done before. Okay? There's always going to be students and teachers and learning materials, and there always has to be a space in which they meet and in which learning can take place. But let's go back. What they're serving are these entities. The Uganda Tanzania branch. They're serving the different language community. Let's take the Aku of Northwest Cameroon. These are the people that they're ultimately serving. And here we notice, well, that's something pretty obvious. ETP is located physically in the UK, and the places that they're serving, in Uganda, Cameroon, wherever it happens to be, throughout Africa, Asia, South America, Europe, they're not in the UK. Okay? They're not in the UK. Obvious, but actually quite important. The people where learning happens is where the people are, where the people from these language communities. Okay, it's and here's the student that's just been taught the stuff, and there has to be some kind of an interaction between that student and the person. The person is not in the UK. The student is not in the UK, and but the knowledge that's in this guy's head, this girl's head, this group of people's heads that have been imparted, the training that's been imparted, has to be applied on the ground outside the UK. That's when the learning, of course, happens. It's when people apply the ideas in their head. There's an idea there, but that has to come down to earth, and that earth is usually red, like Africa, okay, or Asia, whatever. So that's the thing. Where the learning occurs is, yes, in a physical space in the UK, but where it really, oh dear, what's that? Where it really happens is in country. Now, it's not possible to have ETP photocopied physically in every place where learning happens, but of course, it's more possible if we have a virtual space, and that's what I'm thinking. Here's the person that's doing this training. He's in wherever in Africa and wherever in Asia, and he probably now, well, he has a very good chance, a much better chance than he would have a year or two ago, of being able to access learning, pardon me, to access the internet. So if we have a learning space on the internet, okay, then, well, hey, that's great. There can be a connection to whatever happens to this learning space where the learning happens, okay, which is super. But most people, when they think of the internet, they think of the BBC, BBC. They think of what else is there? Google. They think of these sorts of things, and those are closed and closed access. Pardon, they're open. Anybody can see them, and that's worrying. You don't want to have a space in which every Tom, Dick, and Harry can appear. But also, most people have used webmail, where you have to enter in your username and password, and those spaces are private, and that's more what I'm thinking of. Those spaces are private, and what's more, I want to retain not just a learning space where students and teachers and resources interact, but I want to have a learning space in which ETP admin are the gatekeepers. They're the ones that bring teachers on board, they bring students on board, and they decide who enters, according to whatever criteria they choose to go for. Okay, so this is the scenario. So it's the same. It's not an open to everybody thing. It's more like your email. Only lots of people can participate there. So that's not a worry, and security probably isn't much. Things can be made quite secure. Buildings are obviously not 100% secure. Neither can websites be, but within reason, the thing can be made closed access or open to whomever need it. So what should this learning space look like? Well, like the classroom, the physical classroom, they'll have a social there needs to be a social element where student and teacher interact. So there has to be some kind of way for the conversation to happen, but also the student goes away then and looks at goes to the library, isolates themselves and reads a book, interacts with a book. So it's not person to person, it's person to resource. Let's just say person to, I don't know, I'm going to call this resource. So there may be other types of interaction, of course, but essentially that's two that I can conceive. It's a learning space where a student and teacher interacts, and it's also a learning space where student, and for that matter teacher, interacts with the material. Okay, and not just interacts, but the is able to edit that material and update and so on. So that's the idea, but you're hardly going to say, "Hello, student, please come," and "Hello, teacher, please come to our super duper secure website, where you will find absolutely nothing." That's probably not a good idea. And to ramp up the sort of curve of ramping up to having a full site with lots and lots of relevant resources is probably going to be pretty steep, unless we use the resources that are already there. And we have gigs of resources, if we want to measure it by space, audio, text, the whole shoot and match. There's a lot of stuff there. There's a history of stuff there dating back to 2002 that were in DVD. So my suggestion would be, to concentrate around, keep everything the same, keep even the courses that are currently used, use them. There's a clientele of people that come back year and year for some courses. It's, people are more transient with other courses, but there's a body of work, and there's a if not a group of people, then a demographic of people just joining Wycliffe, being orientated to Wycliffe, that will need to access these courses. So let's make coalesce the learning interactions around these courses, and in this space, in the social space and in the resource space, let's group resources that we have accordingly. That's essentially the big idea. I wonder, have I missed what have I missed here? Well, yeah, it's important to think of this in terms of continuity rather than change. So it used to be I don't quite know when CDs became cheap enough to mass produce, but before that you had the floppy drive, which really wasn't fit for purpose, and emails, websites and so on were a little bit well, they weren't up to speed. But the CD, well, that was ideal. Fine, it could hold a lot of stuff reliably. DVD was better. Incremental change there. You move from 700 megs to 4.5 gigs or more, and that was that allowed you to do something different. And it was the technology that available, cheap, easy technology that enabled a change of something big to change educationally. But we're here, and Web 2.0 is very mature now, and things can be done now that couldn't be done before. Not only in terms of the state of the art or whatever, but in terms of penetration, because Africa, Africa goes something. There we go, Africa, and Asia. I don't know how to draw Asia, as well as not knowing how to draw Africa, is all about. It's turned into a giant mobile phone. There it is. It's like an Africa-shaped phone there. Africa is getting connected. Okay, they're skipping over the hard wired telephone installation, and they're going straight to the mobile. And on the back of that mobile is internet. People have access that there where they didn't do before. Fine. This too is a sea change. All of this is pointing towards a new way of thinking. It's a new way of thinking and doing, but it's not revolutionary. It's I don't really want to use the word evolution, but it's a change, not from flying car to flying car. It's more like from petrol to diesel, or 10-year-old car to 3-year-old car. It's a progression rather than a sea change. It's something slightly different, but along this of the same kind. Okay, it's yeah. So those are my ideas. They're not terribly complicated in one way to understand, but they should be understood in terms of continuity. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, well, how to then implement that? Well, I mean, there's a huge corpus, as I say, of work, and in terms of years and so on, over the years and over the subject areas. What I suggest is taking a slice of that, a slice or two, in fact, one sort of monograph type course, for instance, the Learning That Lasts, and one section of a larger course, like, for instance, I don't know, anthropology in ART, taking those as pilots and drawing up some blueprints. Wonder how can I change that to blue? Blueprints, and experimenting with small, but creating a blueprint, creating a model, a template, which can be reapplied. So let's take there's our rubber stamp there, and we can print out progressively courses as they emerge, and it'll be a learning process, and let's control the number of students and the number of teachers that can interact. So let's keep it just the teacher and whoever in the administration and myself. There I am. Let's keep it restricted to that for the meantime, and progressively ramp it up, and go into production. Whoops, dear. Let's ramp it up. Ramp. I don't know. Ramp it up. Let's do that. So those are my ideas. Are my ideas. Hopefully that was clear. There's a lot more to discuss there, but I think that's a start. Okay.